too.
Cool. Great.
We still have seat in front. You want to sit here? Yeah. Too close. Are you nervous? Okay, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to another Dojo event. My name is Auntie. I'm the event, please. Hi, Kelly. I'm the event coordinator of this space, and today we have an event with Jonny over here. Jonny has been a very contributive member of the community. He also had several events with us in the past, and today he's going to teach us how to wake up at work. The event will be held about 1 hour, so 45 minutes talking and 55 minutes question and answer. But if during the talk you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and Jonny will answer to you. Okay, that's all from me, and I give it to you, Jonny Miller.
Oh, wow, thanks very much. Well, thank you everyone for coming out here, braving the rain and all that. So this is a very experimental talk. I've not really given a talk about this kind of stuff before, so it's all very new and experimental. And if anything isn't clear or you have any questions, I'd like this to be just like as interactive as possible. So I normally like to open talks with saying stand up and hug 5 humans, but given the how close people are, maybe stand up and hug 2 people. All right, cool. That was fun.
Jonny, quick question: are you sending slides and presentation later, or is it
so I can send the slides over afterwards. So don't only take notes if it's a specific thought that you have as a place. Yeah, I can email slides on to anyone afterwards.
Yeah, great.
No worries. Okay, cool. So this is roughly my bio, what I've done for the last 10 years. I had a startup for a while. We went through Techstars. We had burnout. I then left the startup and then coached founders through the process of starting a business, and often they had their own burnouts whilst they were working at the city, things like that. So it's kind of been this theme for me, and through this process, I've kind of discovered meditation and breathwork and yoga and all these things, which I'm still very much learning about myself, but this is my opportunity to kind of share a bit about what I'm learning and hopefully get some feedback from you guys. I'm currently working on this kind of online, it's called Curious Leaders Academy, and it's basically my way of trying to share some kind of meditation habits and insight journaling with founders and who are hoping to become leaders. And so I'm just kind of testing out some ideas here, and I'd love to hear any feedback or if certain things resonate. And yeah, this is kind of my new project right now. Brief outline for this session is we're going to do a fund flow audit. We're going to do IFTTB. I'll explain what that is in a sec. And then I just want to save as much time as possible for Q&A, because I think that's where the interesting stuff is going to come out. And I kind of want to just see what questions you guys have about this stuff, because I think, yeah, maybe that's where I can best help. I had something. Okay, so inside this box of pills, there is something which has been scientifically proven to help with all of these different symptoms. So lowering blood pressure, diabetic symptoms, depression, reducing inflammation, robust evidence that it reduces stress and any form of anxiety, help with migraines. And does anyone have any idea what is in this? Have you heard of this before?
Meditation.
Yeah, it could be, but it's not. It could be.
Fresh air.
Yes, oxygen, fresh air in here. It's empty. But what I find interesting is that because we don't pay for it, right? Because it's not like something that we get prescriptions for and then we just have access to all the time. I feel like we undervalue it. So the point of this is just to say that it has all of these incredible benefits that we kind of, once we know how to use our breath properly. And there's a whole bunch of interesting research that's kind of just coming out at the moment that's building from the yoga world and people like Wim Hof who are kind of pioneering lots of this stuff. So there is a ton of research behind this, and I'm happy to talk more about this if you guys have specific questions. But I wanted to start with a brief story. My fascination with breathing began in Ahmed a few years ago. I did a freediving course out there. Have any of you guys been to Ahmed? Seen some turtles, done some snorkeling? Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful place. And I kind of became hooked on this thing called freediving. And yeah, just imagine like swimming down 90 foot underwater and then back again, and kind of how that might feel. You get this, they call it squeeze, and at 90 foot, the pressure is 3 times that at the surface, and your lungs shrink to a third of their original size. And this was a video of me, I don't know if I'm probably going to play it, but this was me diving to 90 foot. This was last year. And you basically you have to kind of relax yourself as much as possible. And every time you feel constrict, you just kind of relax a bit and try and keep your mind in this kind of meditative state. And the deeper you go, the more kind of relaxed you get. And then there's this magical point where at 15 meters, you're neutrally buoyant and you just free fall down, and it just feels like you're kind of falling down into the abyss. Yeah, there we go. And your hands just kind of lightly. There we go. Anyway. But what I find addictive is I think it's like a way to get you into this deep flow state, this kind of deep theta wave state, which I've kind of been in some ways almost like addicted to my entire life, like through surfing and through sport at school and through writing and more recently through kind of Vipassana meditations and even podcasts. Like when you have a good conversation and you access that state of, you almost overhear yourself saying something that you didn't realize you thought. And it's that moving a bit beyond yourself. But the key insight from this freediving, that's what I want to talk about today, is that the breath is the only thing that we know of which enables conscious control of your heart rate and your nervous system, which is kind of mind-blowing. And this is why freedivers are able to go down to ridiculous depths, like over 100 meters, the world record is. And it's because through consciously controlling their breath, they can lower their heart rate and stimulate or activate their parasympathetic nervous system. And it has all of these amazing effects. And the main principle is kind of longer exhales or triangular breathing leads to a slower heart rate and all of these other really cool things. We also tend to use a tiny proportion of our overall lung capacity. Like it's usually about half a liter when we're just breathing, like sitting down like this. And we generally have kind of 8 to 10 liters capacity in our lungs. So I always think of it as like you're like watering down your own whiskey if you're just like using this much. And we have so much more that we can access if we breathe fully and we use all 3 parts of our lungs. There's also this amazing thing that I find fascinating, but I won't go into too much detail, but it's called the master switch. And it's this mammalian dive reflex. And when our bodies get cold and we, it's cold water, it's also CO2 buildup. All of these things happen which enable our body to deal with stress and to conserve oxygen. So like the spleen contracts, there's this blood shift, there's something called bradycardia. And amazingly, I read this in National Geographic recently, there's the sea nomads that live not too far from here. They're the first known humans who genetically adapted to diving. And they have a DNA mutation for large spleens, which gives the Badger nomads a genetic advantage for life in the deep. And the spleen releases oxygen-rich CO2 at certain depths, which I find fascinating. It's just like, this is just so interesting. And then last year, I did a couple of Vipassana meditation retreats, and I've really gone deep into the meditation side of things recently. And I'm currently doing a meditation teacher training with a guy in Australia. And so again, this talk is kind of my way of helping to share what I'm learning so far, because in a way I learn best by having an excuse to share things at events like this. And also, yeah, hopefully some of it will be useful. And yeah, I think freediving is almost like high stakes meditation. It's like if you're not calm and relaxed down there, then at like 30 meters down, it's like a long way back up. So yeah, that's how I think about it. Anyone know who this is? Plato, yes. Plato coined the word ecstasis, which is kind of the original word for flow. And the direct translation is to kind of move beyond oneself into like a non-ordinary state of consciousness. And this is kind of what I think for me it's all about. It's like, how do we access these states where but yeah, that state of flow where the inner critic, like that annoying little bastard in your mind, just kind of like the volume turns down, and you just enter this state where there's almost no self to pay attention to, and time dilates, and we have this incredible capacity for focus, and we get the best work of life done, and we surf big waves, and it's just this amazing state that is like, it's just so good, it's so juicy. So my question for you guys is, what is the question to which flow is your answer? How? Okay. But the answer is flow. Nice, okay. Flow's question and the answer. Okay. Any other thoughts?
What is the goal?
What is the goal? Yeah, so it's almost like flow is an end in itself, and flow is like the infinite game, and it doesn't need an end to justify its existence. Yeah.
How to achieve peak performance.
How to achieve peak performance, yeah, exactly. Like Stephen Kotler and Jonny have been studying this for the last decade, and yeah, that's a really big part of it. Peak performance in any area? Think of best stuff. Okay.
Related, but what is my purpose here?
What is my purpose? Yeah. And you think for you, flow could be an answer?
Yeah, just I think every is to achieve. The way I guess I would understand it is achieving their ultimate version of happiness, which enables them to give back, to enable themselves to be so full in their own cups that their entire life's purpose is giving to other people's cups. And that's how I like think of flow.
That's beautiful. And it's like kind of self-actualization. It's like the peak point on those. Nice. That's awesome. You guys should be giving thoughts. Any other thoughts? Thoughts, questions?
How do I get stress-free?
How do I get stress-free? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you definitely. It's interesting because it does often stimulate adrenaline and all of these cocktails, but it's more like positive. It's like eustress. It's like a positive form of stress. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do a flow audit. Sounds very. I don't know why I called it a flow audit, but I did. So I would like you all to sit up straight in your seats. And take a couple of deep breaths. Close down your eyes and imagine that there is a well that is inside your chest, and you are dropping this question into a bucket and lowering it down into the well. And the question is, when in your life have you tapped into your deepest flow states? Just drop that question in the bucket and see it going deeper into the well. And don't try and answer it, but just pay attention to see if anything rises up. Maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a thought. And just imagine winding the bucket back up slowly and just noticing if anything arises. And take another deep breath and open your eyes when you're ready. Did anything arrive? Anything come up? Any thoughts? Anyone want to share?
I used to play Lego when I was young.
Lego, amazing.
That's so good. I could do it for hours and do nothing.
Yeah, right. Do you write code now? Are you a developer?
No.
Yeah, interesting. That's the best answer I've heard. So good. Anyone else want to share? Got it. Snowboarding, yeah, definitely.
Had a project that to deliver and our deadline I was waiting for 27, 28 hours to focus on deadline.
Yeah, who else can kind of admit to being like a deadline junkie? Like, having written this talk in the last few hours, I can also relate. Yeah, it's so true. Like you need that. I think it just shuts everything else down and it forces you to focus. Forces you to focus. And how do you feel when you're in the state? Like, how does it feel in your body? Terrible. Really? Really? Interesting. It's like really tense. What are you doing when you? Yeah, or when you're in that state and you're letting your breath.
It's just a focus.
Like tensing up.
You breathe every time.
Yeah, interesting. It's such deep flow that you forget to breathe. Great. Okay, second question. Maybe if you guys want to do this in pairs, so turn to the person next to you. And the question is, when and how do you best access this flow state? So, for example, like how do you get into that state? Is it through meditation or dancing or breath work or drugs or anything? Like what kind of gets you into that flow state?
Jonny, your ads. I don't know if this is true for most of the people in the room, but I do think there might be some people who don't know what flow is. Yeah, so you think you could explain?
Yeah, sure. It's flow is that state where you almost lose your. So it's almost like a cattle term, but it's essentially when you lose your sense of self and you're the best example is like when it's a certain way and you have such an extreme focus on one way it is, the sense of self kind of starts down. And what you're writing in sort of time, yeah. Okay. Okay, so what came up? What were some of the things that helped you get to play safe? It's easy to get you enjoying something. So you know, like maybe taking it a bit seriously as well and being like, I think also we're kind of like, you know, like so it's like overthink something, but if you're enjoying it, it's like we find that different examples, same process. Okay, guys. Can you just said it one more time? You break that different
I was just saying that the discussion between the two of us was it's easy to get into flow when it's something that we're doing. It just becomes second nature.
Yeah.
So finding the flow wasn't difficult. Interaction.
Stuff that you enjoy. Yeah. Yeah. And any reason that might be like?
Well, to answer that second question was more just natural. It just happens naturally. Just doing something.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this side of the room?
Okay. Well, you were talking about you kind of mentioned software development. You said you said it out Lego, and I suppose I've been doing software development for a long time.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's something comparable to flow, where I just kind of forget myself when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But it's not something I see as a positive thing.
Interesting.
It's just I've just been doing this for years, and I kind of get out of myself. But then it's like, what am I doing with my life? So like
that's really interesting.
I would like kind of to experience that state in a more positive way.
So I've got some good friends who are also developers, and they get the access flow through coding, and like he just loses himself, forgets it for like 4 or 5 hours at a time. Yeah. But I think the key point is that it can be a very draining state to be in. So if you're in deep flow for like even a couple of hours, your body needs to like recharge after that. And so I think having that like creative renewal period to kind of recharge all of this energy that was just used up is really important. And if you try and push yourself to stay in that point for like more than 5 or 6 hours, it's going to just take a massive toll on the body. Same is true for adventure sports, or even like great writers won't write for more than like 4 or 5 hours a day max, even if they're like going full tilt. It's important to have time to recharge.
You get into flow, so what I thought one before is what you say, you know, definite targets and portions of the flow state. So you say you can induce the flow state anyway, because I can't associate the flow state with panic, which must be done to get it deliverable. Kind of induces kind of stress, trying to avoid stress, so it's to avoid stress.
Yeah.
But the flow, if there's a target of something to do, you focus on doing it.
Yep.
But it's kind of don't really want to go down there, so it's a bit of fun which way to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's a number of different triggers that get people into flow, and to be honest, no one is the same. So some people really love the deadlines, and other people, it's more about letting go of the goal and just enjoying what you're doing, and you find yourself like losing yourself into that state. I think it's just one of those things that you want to kind of experiment with and finding other ways. So I'm going to talk about in a bit like different, I guess, external stimuli that can kind of get you into that state, as well as having things like deadline and stress. But stress and some sort of risk reward and a clear outcome are often very good triggers for getting into a state. So like for surfer, going into a big wave, there's consequences there, like with you if you don't deliver your project, and there's also a very clear goal of like riding the line to get to the other side. And then final quick question, just share anything that comes up. What kind of gets in the way of that state, that flow state? Your mind. Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. Yeah, overthinking stuff and just being in your head too much.
Being an adult.
Being an adult. Yeah, right. Yeah, kids are in flow way more. But so what are the things that we do as adults that we didn't do as kids? Or pay bills, overthink stuff, responsibilities, yeah, worries, busyness. I think is the main thing. It's just like.
I think sometimes we just don't allow ourselves to have fun and be in flow because it doesn't seem productive.
Yes.
Because it's too enjoyable.
Yes.
So we live unless life is hard.
Yeah.
Not making progress.
One of the fastest tracks to flow is play, and play intrinsically doesn't have a definite outcome, and so we find it very hard to justify spending our time in this thing which we don't know what the result's going to be, even though it's essential for creativity and fun and just life in general. It's like it's really hard to prioritize when we have all these like to-dos and like adult things that we should be spending our time on. So these are some things which this is kind of, for me, so just to give you a bit of context, these slides are in a really random order, I apologize. But for me, I find meditation is the best way to get myself into flow in the morning and also increase the likelihood of falling into flow during the day, whether I'm writing or working or whatever I'm doing. And in my own experience and with people that I've talked to, often we feel like we should just be able to sit down anywhere on a pillow and just like meditate, because that's what it seems like people do. So I think taking time to intentionally design your environment so that it is conducive to meditation is really important. So some of the things that I found helps me are just simple things like not having too much light in the room, having some kind of fresh air supply, unlike we have in this room right now. Setting a timer is actually really important, because then you're not thinking like, oh, how long have I been doing this for? Should I get up? Thank you. Yeah. Cool. And lighting candle helps. Also, has anyone heard of binaural beats? Yeah? Do you find it helpful?
Yeah. I listen to them when I write.
Really?
Yeah, I just got into it later.
Nice.
You know,
Like Brain FM or that kind of stuff?
yeah, I just pop it on YouTube. Whatever's on there.
Yeah.
I heard about it too, but I'm like, for me, it's kind of like white noise, you know. So if I'm listening to regular music, the lyrics or something can take me out of what I'm doing. But because that's nothing, it's just sounds.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to like zone all you guys out if I'm trying to like,
Yeah. So I think there's two sides to it. There's that side which just helps to kind of get rid of any distractions. But there's also, for not all binaural beats, but the ones that are designed well, they are specifically tuned to get you into this theta brainwave state. And the way that it works, I mean, you guys might know more than I do, but basically the left ear is very slightly differently tuned to the right ear. And so something about that tricks the brain to dropping it into a lower frequency, which gets it into this theta wave brain state, which is associated with flow and creativity and insights and all these things. So I find it really helpful for both meditation, but also writing or coding or whatever you want to do. And then secondly, who knows who this old dude is? LinkedIn. Yeah. So he had this, well, it's attributed to him, who knows if he actually said it, but the saying is, if you have 6 hours to cut down a tree, spend the first 5 hours sharpening your axe. And I mean, I think that's a great quote for like life in general and what we do. But I think when applied to meditation, the way that I think about this is the best way to prepare your mind for meditation, I think, is through breathing. And it's also what kind of they teach in the yogic world as well. And so instead of spending, if you want to sit down and meditate for like 10 minutes in the morning, instead of sitting on a cushion and then watching your brain have thought after thought after thought and like, what am I doing? I should think about your to-do list. Maybe spend like 6 to 8 minutes doing breath work and then 2 minutes of meditation at the end. And you'll find that the breath will have helped to calm your mind down and help you to be less anxious, that you can have 2 minutes of really good meditation, which is like 2 minutes of cutting down the tree once you've sharpened the axe. And that was like a really big insight for me, because it's not something that is generally talked about in lots of the apps like Headspace or Calm or these things. And I'll go into that in a bit more depth shortly. So just briefly, how breathing affects our mind and nervous system specifically. So we were just talking about Wim Hof in this corner, and if you have a longer inhale, so say you have an inhale count for 10 and an exhale for 5, then that will activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is associated with fight or flight, and like activating your body. So it like energizes you. So have any of you used Wim Hof breath or come across Wim Hof? Yep. Wim Hof. It's like a breathing style. So if you just remember that a longer inhale, so say count of 10 and then exhale of 5, and if you want to make it extra powerful, like triple rocket, then you keep the that's super strong. You keep the inhalation in, which in yoga they called come back. And then the opposite of that, so if you're kind of so you're trying to get sleep at the end of the day and your mind is racing, focusing on a longer exhale, which is exactly what freedivers do. So before you do a deep dive, you're kind of sitting like this, like a jellyfish, and you have like an exhale of, say, 12 and an inhale of 3 or 4. So you just have a long, slow, calming exhale, and that reduces your heart rate and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is like rest and digest and sleep and relax. And for bonus points, you can do the left nostril inhale, which is called Shavasana Vedana in yoga. And I had no idea why they did this, but they were just like, if you want to calm down, do like, and then breathe out through the right, and you just cover your left nostril, breathe in, exhale out through your right. And I was like, why do you do that? And apparently, your left nostril is connected to your right brain hemisphere, which sends breathing through, sends fresh blood to your right brain, which is our kind of sympathetic nervous system brain. It's like the rest and digest. And if you do it, like I did this for years actually without even understanding why it worked. But like before I was meant to talk or if I was nervous about something, I'd literally go to the toilet and sit down. Like, it sounds weird and I felt like an idiot, but it actually helped.
Did you call it Nadi
No,
you didn't call it Nadi.
Nadi Shodhana is, and Shodhana, maybe Shodhana Vedana is 50-50.
Okay.
And then Nadi Shodhana is left first, then right. I get mixed up between the two. Next question. How many coffees do you buy per week? Anyone? Drink. Well, if you're lucky enough to have more for you, how many do you drink a week? 3 a day. Right. Well, yeah, I'm also fairly hooked on coffee, and I probably have at least like 1 or 2 a day. And sometimes, if I'm asleep in the afternoon, I have a coffee, and like this is me trying to get to sleep at night, just like wide awake and wired. If I had coffee after like lunch, basically, it tends to affect the system. So as I was writing this today, I had this like weird image popped into my head where I was like, what if one day in the future you walked into a cafe and you order a coffee, and instead of giving you this drink, the barista like comes out and does like breathwork exercises with you, and just does like this kind of Wim Hof breathing that has the same effect on activating our nervous system, but you don't have all of the downstream like sleep depriving effects of caffeine, and it's all just working with your endogenous system. So I'd almost love to do this as like a fun video one day, just like filming a barista and then taking someone through Wim Hof, and it's free. Like oxygen breath is free. And then, kind of related to that, does anyone here know what IFTTT is? If this, then that? Yeah, probably like the techie guys. But it basically stands for if this then that, and so you can kind of use it to build recipes. So like if send a tweet, then save to Evernote or whatever. And I had this idea of if this then breathe. And applying these kind of like, or like understanding in what situations in your life you can use certain breathing techniques to help you. So to give an example, if you wake up early in the morning, you've got kind of like brain fog, you're kind of like groggy, maybe you've had like bad night's sleep, then do this 2-minute breath of fire or Kapalabhati, which is this yoga exercise. So say you just got out of bed, it's like 7:30 in the morning. Kapalabhati is, in fact, you guys want to do it with me now? Sit up straight. So you breathe, deep breath in through your nose. Then when you breathe out, you do. You pump the air out of your stomach. And one more time, deep breath in. So tend to do like 3 to 4 unless you get lightheaded, which I now feel a bit lightheaded myself. But it basically clears out all of that like stale air that's been in your system. If you've been in an aircon room or you've just woken up, it's just like a really nice kind of like refresh for your lungs. And the yogic tone is Kapalabhati. And it's
doing it at night though.
Huh?
Careful doing it at night.
Yeah, well, unless you're like going out for a party, then you can. But it's like, but yeah, exactly. You wouldn't want to do it just before sleep because it'll wake you up.
I heard it's also really good to lose weight.
Because it activates your digestive. Oh yeah, okay. So it helps with digestion. Yeah, that's true.
A lot of the pranayamas are like that.
Yeah, especially the ones where you do what's it called? Uddiyana Bandha, when you like breathe in the stomach and it moves your stomach around. I should know this, haven't done yoga teacher training. So recipe number 2, if feeling sleepy, and I really want to play this. Yeah, there we go. So if this is you at like 2:30 in the afternoon in dojo and you're really hot and sleepy, then instead of having a coffee, which gives you all the jittery side effects of caffeine, then you can do Kumbhaka pranayama, or inhale retention, which is essentially a form of this Wim Hof breath. And all Wim Hof did was to take this yogic breathing exercise and just like slap his name on it effectively. So the Wim Hof technique is this yoga thing. And Kumbhaka pranayama, to break this down, pranayama is kind of means control of the breath or breath restraint, and Kumbhaka is like retention. So this just means like breath retention. So to give, do you want to do a demo? You said that you do this every morning. Do you want to demo Wim Hof? Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Deep breath in. So you focus on a deep inhale, deep inhales, and then short inhale.
You do about 40 times?
40. Yeah. Okay, I'd say like just for now, let's just do 10. We'll still feel it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. And then hold the inhale in. Keep the breath in. Hold the breath in. Hold it in for 15 seconds.
That's different.
Then let go.
I usually blow everything out on the last breath.
Okay.
Then keep my attention. Then take a deep breath at the end.
Okay.
And then keep it for 10 to 20 seconds.
Okay. Okay, so there's different variations.
It depends on Wim Hof, like sometimes it doesn't like this, sometimes.
Yeah, I think you have 2 different variations.
Yeah, there's different variations, but the main thing is you'll probably feel, I mean, you might be overheating already, but you will feel that sense of it, and often it creates a kind of a head rush. And one way to avoid that is by locking your chin in. So, and you basically just like imagine the air at the end you stay to the chest, and that helps avoid that like head rush that you get with those kind of things. You just kind of like have your chin, not like super down, but just make sure that your chin is here and it's like a throat lock. So you're not tensing, but it's just down. That's another one of the bandhas in yoga. And this is also really good for if you're going the cold plunge in ammo, for example, going cold water, it heats up your body and just basically fuels your body full of energy. And this is Mario demonstrating the Kumbhaka pranayama. And yeah, I think of it like this kind of like this daily like mushroom power up that you can just take and you can have it with you anywhere you go, like anywhere there's oxygen, right? And then third and finally, the funky nostril breath, or Chardonnay. I'm fairly sure it's that, but it's not corrected. But basically, this is kind of what I mentioned earlier, and let's do this as well. So if you take your right hand and just put your 2 fingers down in the palm of your hand, use this finger to block your left nostril and use your thumb to block your right nostril. So take a breath out, and then block your right nostril with your thumb, and breathe in through the left side for a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Swap sides and breathe out through your right nostril for a count of 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale through the left. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more round. Inhale left. 2, 3, 4. And exhale right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you might feel slightly relaxed. And even just doing this for kind of a couple of minutes, I feel like does have a very big impact. You can increase the effect by having a slight exhale retention. So if you breathe in for 4, out for 8, and then hold the breath out for kind of 2 to 3, that helps as well. And also the other thing to investigate, if you have trouble sleeping and you kind of have an anxious mind, Kelly probably knows more about this than I do, but there's something called Yoga Nidra, which is a fantastic kind of series of breathing visualization exercises, which really help to drop you into that state where you're ready for sleep. And I find it really powerful. And yeah, that's the end of my little mini presentation. So I'd love to hand over to you guys for questions. And some of the things that I'd be interested to hear about from you are like, what are your main motivations for investigating meditation in the first place? Specifically, what do you struggle with if you have a meditation practice? And what about the whole like meditation world doesn't quite add up for you, or doesn't quite make sense, or you may be curious about? Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
I need a lot of quiet to sort of got some deadline on cramps. So
Yep. Okay.
So what's the
So, the motivation? Yep. Okay. Yeah, so I'd say a combination of like firstly making sure that you've got enough energy in your doing something combined with maybe like a Wim Hof type breath to just give yourself the energy. Because if the lack of motivation is a place of like your energy and your drain, then that would definitely help. This is kind of you're just easily distracted and there's a lack of focus. Then setting aside maybe kind of falling, maybe just after you wake up, like trigger for that habit, and you don't have to kind of put on a guided meditation. And for me, I find that helps me to just get a sense of clarity, and it just calms down monkey mind slightly. And often it's monkey gets us to follow all those shiny objects, whatever it is. And then, you know, there's about motivation, generally meditation, I think, having simple
exercise.
I mean, yeah, I try to do something every morning, whether it's like swimming or CrossFit or like a short run, like just getting your body moving before getting down to work.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm the type of person who's very motivated by.
Yeah.
I enjoy like proactive activities and meditations. There's more passive type of activity. Or I'm very new to the world of meditation, but I see that there's value in it, and especially for me. It's also kind of lazy, and I'm not really doing it, but I think that I could use it to develop discipline, but it requires discipline to develop. So there's in there. But I hear consistently that you just have to put in time to see the results. And I totally get on board with that, but
Yeah. So I can completely relate. Like when I was, for most of my life, I've basically been a very active person, and so the idea of sitting down and doing like nothing hasn't been very appealing. I think there's two answers to that. The first is there's a lot of different like active meditation practices. So if you're kind of swimming, you really focus on your actual body moving. You just have that kind of single point of focus, and you're not thinking about what you're going to be doing next. But you can, or in I did a meditation for last year that was mostly based on like walking meditations, and you just really consciously like place your mind in the soles of your feet, or your feet on mantra. So you might have something to focus on. And I think the other thing is when meditation, I'm so drawn by the appeal of like stress relief, or like helping with sleep. And what I discovered was certainly through doing the Vipassana, which is like this 10-day meditation for like 8 p.m. in the evening, that you're actually going inside to do something, and you're almost like training these mental muscles, depending on what you're focusing. So with Vipassana, it's more of like be able to, it feels like a superpower. Like you can feel your attention in different parts of your body as you move it around, and it turns into this like amazing thing, and the world kind of opens up. But it took like 3 or 4 days to calm down and like chill to the point where I was able to. But I think just trying to give it a shot, and just like you say, kind of stick with it for a long enough period of time, and particularly for doing the things like the breath work beforehand, so that when you sit down, you don't feel like you're having all these thoughts and stuff it. But if you start it and you bring your attention back to your breath, or back to whatever the object is of meditation, that's like doing one breath. Right? So you way of thinking, you're working out that muscle every time you gently take your attention back to your breath. And over time that will strengthen your matter, and it will improve. And any skill, it does take time to learn.
Like whatever you do, you track it, quality, quantity, or anything like that. If that works in the beginning, once you kind of have the habit, you see your productivity goes up. You take the time off, and then you're more there in the next 50 hours. They kind of like they increase, and then once you drop meditation, it kind of falls down. So if you track any of this stuff, you might be able to get to it. It's like more like clients, or like if it's a relationship or whatever. What's your feeling?
And I used to do the same type of tracking, and now I can tell if I haven't meditated in the morning just by the state of my mind. And it's more that, I want to spend a more clear focused state where I can like really listen to the conversation, or really be present to what I'm doing, or taste the food and not just like shut it down. Like, it's all that like stuff which it really does help.
Like, not this year, I mean, a few months, very happy with. And, you know, I'm totally for all of those. I mean, I do. But if I'm truly honest with myself, I find it extremely hard. And, you know, and I'm doing it anyway, and, you know, I'm sitting with Phil on that, and trying to meditate and some of that. Like, if I'm truly honest with myself, but then I think, maybe I just had like extra coffee, and that's supposed to be my focus.
Right.
So there's no like, there's no that's something strict in my life. I mean, it's more like, you know, this, like you said, you know, it's more passive. It's something that comes in your return. It's nothing that makes it different. So you know, it, almost every single day. And I went for years, so you know, it's not that I don't come close to me. So, because I hear all these, there are so many people who love meditation. It can be also, it takes a lot of discipline to do it. It's not a.
I totally understand what you mean there. I think rather than frame, and I think this is like it's a really important. I think the problem is people feel like they should meditate before you benefit, but they sit down and just. And I think maybe the shift for me was like having like an inner curiosity and realizing that I didn't know that much about the nature of my mind. And at any one period of time, I'm not even that aware of what I'm feeling. To inquire and to check in. And so for me, meditation has become a way to get to know myself better and to get clear. And otherwise, I find that I'm just really unaware of stuff. And instead of treating my body as this like known thing, I actually often have no idea what's going on, like in my head or in my body or all these things. And that's how I take the time. So it's less about, it's not about thinking less, it's more about being a witness and observing all this interesting stuff. And I'll often like, I might meditate 15 minutes and I'll spend like 10 minutes journey to this interesting thing I wasn't aware of previously. So the course that I'm doing, I'm trying to frame meditation as like an insight practice. Like not only understanding yourself, but surfacing insights that you weren't aware of. I think that yeah.
Different thoughts come up to me. It's really good to hear this. And, I just had different thoughts around, I guess, how in the Vipassana context, in many contemplative or monastic contexts, meditation is trying to help you broaden your equanimity or have more of a neutral mind. And I just was like, in reference to that, as you know, there's this whole corporatism, you know, it's kind of quite a long way from where its roots are in a way. And actually, your mindfulness might be making more with things that are hard. It's not necessarily something that sells well. So that's one thing that comes to mind. And another quote that comes up is one from another Tibetan teacher who says, like, there to like everything good, it's like there to turn life upside down. And inside out.
It does, yeah.
And like you have to remember that, and I guess the West is sort of trying to take the bits it likes and
yes.
Yeah.
And I think that like an example was described to me by someone as like almost like self-induced razor. Like it's not something you are diving into the depths of your mind. And there's some scary shit sometimes, like, it can be terrifying. And for me it was, that's the first time I did. I had like, really, I dealt with some, what felt like pretty interesting things. I think it's true, but I almost feel like that is a necessary part of the evolution. So people like ourselves become attracted to physical productivity, the relaxation and stress relief benefits. And it's similar with yoga actually. Like a lot of want to have like great bodies and you do great stuff. But then once you do it for a certain period of time, you realise that it's like that's like the tip of the iceberg, and there's all of this traditional history, and there's so much more to it. And I think the same is true with meditation. Like, I came to meditation through headsets, like really simple, like, just because I was kind of curious. But the more that you do it, I find the more that you get through it. It will just hijack and try to the productivity tool, like you can value at people. But I mean, like Jack, the founder of Twitter, did last month recently tweeted about it, and it was this tweet he didn't quite understand the concept of. It was very goal-oriented, like outcome, and I think that it's just something that like it's very hard to explain and describe an experience to someone having had. What is that? They're framing the benefits through the lens that Silicon Valley people will understand. So it's like framing the as like whatever, all those things, and then you kind of take the bait, and then once you go to feet, you're like, oh, there's all this whole other world to it. But it's very hard to sell that thing to these people who have a different state of mind.
So to add to that, and like how to explain it, regarding timelines, because everybody's like, well, it's kind of like what you do, but like when you have muscle, like you go 10 minutes at the gym, it takes a lot of work.
Exactly you feel like. And I think the fitness analogy is a really good one to highlight, because in the same way that like if you do CrossFit, you might want to train your flexibility or your stamina or your strength. Same with meditation. Like meditation is basically very good, and you can do. I did a metta retreat, and metta is like compassion and loving kindness. So you can like literally train your gratitude muscle, and you feel. You just feel like. You can train compassion, or you can train focus, or you can train equanimity and be less like baffled by things when they happen. And it's basically like you do an inventory of like, okay, what do I want to work on? In the same way that you go to the gym, like do I want to big thighs or whatever. Not that you would want to, I don't know why you want big thighs, some people might. It's like this kind of toolkit where you can choose from these different practices depending on which mental muscle.
How do you actually keep yourself coming back to the meditation? Or because what I have, I usually meditate and I like it, or I'd rather for the exercises, and I get in a state of flow, observation, and stuff like that. But usually after 2 or 3 days, I forget to do it. I don't do it. And then and then like 1 month I'm on the autopilot, and I'm not really feeling what I would like to feel. So how, do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, so I mean, coming from a startup world, like I was very obsessed with kind of like the setting reminders and like habit hacking and all that kind of stuff. But I think now what I almost just try not. I think willpower is overrated, and I think designing your environment is more important. And the best, I mean, really, it comes down to how you build habits. And has anyone heard James Clear? He's got a book called Atomic Habits, which is just exceptional. Taking away the negative habit or adding a new habit into life, but his framework is fantastic. But the main thing is like tying it to a trigger, which is something that you do every day that you don't have to think about. So it could be like just before you brush your teeth in the morning, or it could be like just after you wake up, or something. So it then becomes automatic. You want to think about it, because even with all the motivation and willpower in the world, like after like say 4 or 5 days, you'll be tired, or you won't think about it, it will just slip. So I think that is key. And also, secondly, just like enjoying it. Like for me anyway, like don't do it because
I enjoy it, but there's also.
But if you know how good you feel, then you want to do it. It'll be like, oh my God, it's amazing. Or like I want to.
It's also a kind of destructive kind of me inside that's just like, okay.
Right. Well, then that's something to inquire and think about in general. Okay, maybe last couple of
About the image part. I think the thing that I struggle with most going off of what everybody you were saying is that I can see very easily how like there is, like so many positive practices, positive scientific reasons even. And like I did my thesis on this, so I studied all the scientific research that exists and like the books on meditation and mindfulness, how to commercialize like what all the like research practitioners have said. And it's so easy for me to explain why it's. And all of my best friends who meditate have had these experiences where they're like, I went outside my body and then I saw my soul from afar, and, or like even just like better experiences where in like lesser in a ways. As I did my meditation, I was having a better day. But I have never had that experience where even though I've been doing my daily meditation practice consistently for 10 years, I have. So since I was like 12 years old, right? Like I can't ever tell somebody with confidence, like, which kind of breaks me on the inside because like I really want so badly to believe in it, but I never feel like the full confidence of saying like I've had this sort of experience where I've seen my life get like astronomically better, or like my day get tangentially better. I don't know how to like change that. How to find the way that like if you know it makes you happy, then you keep doing it. Like how,
yeah, I mean I would say the first thing in terms of like speaking to people who've had these profound experiences, it's very easy to kind of chase this thing that we want to feel, like whether that's like some kind of actual out-of-body experience or just like simply happiness. I think for me, the experience has been learning to have that kind of witness point of view where you're not getting. You might notice anger arising, but you're not like perpetuating it. You're not getting sucked into it. And I think actually one of the best like reasons to meditate, I'll probably end on it, is that if you imagine you like walk outside after this and someone that you know just shouts abuse at you, and